Hare Krishna, Ayoti.
Hare Krishna.
So today we have with us Miss Ayoti Banerjee, who is currently an assistant professor of geology at Durgapur Government College, West Bengal, and is also pursuing her PhD at the Geological Studies Unit of the Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata. Her academic journey began with a bachelor's degree in geology from Presidency University, followed by a master's in applied geology from IIT ISM Dhanbad. After completing her studies, she joined Cairn Vedanta, a leading petroleum exploration and production company, where she worked for 2 years. Driven by her passion for research, she appeared for the national PhD entrance exam of the ISI, and she topped her subject and decided to dedicate herself fully to her doctoral work. She is also my senior from the college, and it's truly a pleasure to have her to share her experiences and insights with us. Thank you, Ashley, for
Thank you,
joining.
Moinak, for inviting me.
So, Ayushi, so how was your bachelor's day?
I did my bachelor's in geology from Presidency University, Kolkata, and I was the first batch of Presidency University. Before that, it was Presidency College under Calcutta University. So I was the first batch when Presidency got the status for university. And Presidency gave me a new way of life, actually, because the friends I made there were from different disciplines, and we interacted on different topics on geopolitics, history, philosophy, even English literature. And generally, the campus life of Presidency is very refreshing, because when you start meeting with people from different disciplines, you get a lot of ideas. You interact with them. You understand that different people have different worlds, different subject. People who are reading different subjects, they have different viewpoint in their and that is where actually that used to make me feel that every day I should go to college. And I mean, we used to go to college at 10, come back even after our classes are over. We would stay there for 1 or 2 hours and then come back nearly 8 and 9 to our home, because it's a way of life. It's not just a college for us or for any presidentian, if you ask them, basically. And secondly, geology being a field-based subject, what's additional there is the field trips. We go each year, the 3 years we do in bachelor's degree, we go to 3 different places with our classmates on field trips. And that's an additional place to bond, to know each other, to live, to share a room with each other, and to fight over small things, and to go to different places to do field trips. Those are really exciting days in the undergraduate, basically.
Okay, so where have you went for the field trips?
First year we went for Kalka, Shimla, and basically the field trips, because we have to work in the exposures, actually. So we would choose the generally field trips are chosen in the winter, and in that freezing winter we actually went to Kalka. It was nearly 1 degree and snowfall was there, and it was magical, because first time in my life I'm actually experiencing snowfall. And the first year we went to Shimla. The second 2 years we went to Rajasthan. So the entire Rajasthan I have actually traveled with my friends only in field trip. Initially we went to Jaipur, Ajmer, and the next year we went to Udaipur, Jaisalmer. We had the camel. We went for the on the back of the camel in the desert area. It's really a different kind of experience.
So basically, what is your work in the field work? Like what you all do?
Actually, generally for a geologist, what we do is field trips are small trainings to do bigger work, to teach a student how to approach a problem on the field, how to collect data in the field, basically. So geology is basically related to study of rocks, which we are finding, and these rocks are from very old, since the beginning of the universe, to the recent rocks, the recent sediments which we are seeing in the beach. If we go to the beach, we see the sand. Those also fall under the purview of geology. And the rocks which are like 3.4 billion years old, at the start of the earth, beginning of the earth, those are also the rocks that come under the purview of geology. So depending on which area you're visiting, you go to see the rocks there, how they are exposed, what are the nature, are they igneous rock or metamorphic rock or sedimentary rock, and you map the entire area. You from small places like 5 kilometer, every 5 kilometer you take a stop. If you get an exposure, you see the rocks are there, you take the data that how the rocks are present there, what's the thickness, in which direction they are dipping, and what's the lithology, uh, and you record that, and then you extrapolate, make a map of particular lithology, you make which lithology goes to which extent. Those are all the things we do after we collect the data from the field, and during the field we just collect this kind of data. And basically, this gives us an idea that what was the situation when those rocks were actually deposited or formed? What was the situation of the earth? And the economic aspect of it is that there are certain kind of rocks where economic minerals are generally found. Like in the igneous metamorphic rock, we find the metallic minerals. The coal and petroleum comes under the purview of geology. So we have to find those from the exposures. We have to predict that under the ground where these kind of deposits can be found, and those are actually very important for our nation's economy.
Okay, so if you want to tell someone to go for this geology line, so what should you tell? Why should they go for this line?
First of all, I would tell them that if you can work in if you can completely day in our a field day in a geologist's life is like getting up early, taking whatever breakfast you can, and then in the field you are going to have the lunch, whatever very small amount, and you have to work straight like from 9 to sun till the sun is down, like 5. So if you can bear this uh, field trips, because it's not like it's 365 days we are going to do this. We are basically going to do this like at a stretch 15 days or maybe 1 month. So if they are okay with this kind of work, they can bear the exposure, sun exposure or something. If they can actually are very physically fit to go over the exposures, over the rocks and climb small hillocks, then they should be mentally prepared to join or to read this subject. So that is the first prerequisite. Second thing is that if someone wants to go in this kind of exploration production companies, not restricted to only coal or petroleum, they can be in minerals, mines like diamonds. De Beers is a company which actually sells diamonds, and they also need geologists because they have to find out where are those kimberlite pipes where the diamonds concentrate. So gold mineralization, everything, any kind of economic, if you want to contribute, if you want to go and predict that where it can be, you want to make such models, they can contribute in a productive way in the nation's economy in this way. Or there is always like I chose initially, I was in a petroleum company. Now I chose to do PhD, and now I teach at a place, geology only, in a job. So if they want to go for that career, research and academics, they can go for that also. So these are the three, four things where people can study geology and can contribute or can develop their life based on that, professional life based on that. But they have to keep in mind that the prerequisite will always be there. They have to be very ready to go and work in the field.
So since you have worked 2 years in corporate, so what made you change your mind to go for research? Or is what your plan earlier also? You have to
Yeah,
do a PhD.
actually, PhD was always a plan. Honestly, to be even in my corporate interviews also, when I joined Cairn, I had told them that I am never going to. It doesn't mean that because I'm working in corporate, I will just not do anything technical. Because when I entered corporate, I could easily see there are two divisions. One goes in the technical head, another goes in the administrative head, where you take the administrative decisions based. The decisions will be based on exploration and production of petroleum or oil and gas, but there are two divisions. One work in the technical field, they are developing the models, and one work in the economics and they've administrative field, that how they have to execute a project so that they can drill this much of wells and they can get this much of petroleum, and actually they can sell, when they will be, what is the right timing to actually drill how many wells so that it's economic for the company. So during those interviews also, I always chose the technical side. I never actually wanted to go in the administrative side. And specifically when I found that I actually topped the ISI exam, so I decided that it is currently a good time for me to shift, because if I would have devoted 5-6 years in a corporate, it would have been difficult to shift, because the monetary thing would have been, the disparity would have been very, very high, because in corporates you are paid a lot more than what you are paid to do PhD in India, at least. So that was the reason I actually thought that it's the right time for me to shift after 2 years of getting the correct exposure in the corporate. It's right time to shift to the come back to the academia.
Okay, so many students have this wrong notion. Actually, I don't know if it's wrong or right. So you can tell it better. Ki PhD is equivalent to very tough academics. So what's the one thing actually that they go wrong or they are right about it?
To be very honest, PhD, I have seen very medium students who are not very, very intelligent, but they are medium intelligent. I have seen them to excel in PhD. I have seen many intelligent, highly intelligent students not excelling in PhD. The difference was basically patience. PhD needs a lot of patience, and it's for a nearly, for the 10 you have to go in a PhD, you have to keep your mind that you are going to at least devote 10 years of your life thoroughly in academia. I mean, you are going to struggle, you're going to write papers, they are going to get rejected, you have to rewrite them, you have to maybe you're chasing something, you will see that after a certain point of time it's a dead end, so you have to find new problems to chase. So it is frustrating. The only thing that keeps a PhD student going is patience. And that is the reason I have seen many moderate students who had patience, they excelled later in PhD in the academia, while the people who are very intelligent, just because they became impatient after a certain point of time, they could not excel. Many people left PhD and many people went back to do certain corporate jobs or something like that. So yeah, it needs a lot of patience. So it's not just a great idea that's going to change your PhD or research career. No, it's patience that's going to change your research career. That's actually going to take you through this entire journey.
So can you share how is your day as a research scholar?
As a research scholar, currently I've joined, like 2-3 months have happened, I've joined already in Durgapur Government College. But before that, basically, in my PhD, a day in life of PhD scholar, if it's me, it's like I get up at 7:30, then I go for mindfulness meditation and yoga, and then I have my chores done, and by 10:30 or 11 I'm present. I go to my lab. I sit there from 11 to till 6-7. We sit there in the lab. We are doing our own research. Everyone is there. They are nearly in a room. In ISI, we used to 10 scholars used to sit in their individual cubicles in our at least in geological studies unit, where I did my PhD at ISI. And everybody would be opening the laptop and reading the new papers that have come up. In PhD, the most important thing is staying updated. So the important journals in your domain, you should always be updated, whatever the new issue of that journal, whatever papers it's published there. Because if you're not updated, then you will end up chasing very outdated problems which will be very difficult to get published in this age. So you have to choose your problems by staying updated. So that is what every PhD scholar, I think, they do. And other lab work is there, but it's not like it's all boring, because we used to have our tea breaks and lunch breaks where we would go and obviously chill there actually. So we had our breaks.
So I know you also collaborate with other labs also, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that is something that actually kept me alive also in this entire PhD process, because uh, I mean, if you, and I thank my supervisor for that, because he was always very supportive. He never told me, don't go to that lab, do your own work, something like that. He told me, do your own work. If you have time after you do your own work, you can always go and collab. So I collaborated with Signal and Image Processing Lab of Computer Vision and Pattern Recognition Unit under Shormani Palit ma'am. And that's where I actually met you. And we have done some work. Hopefully, we will be getting published. But that you, like you, there are many juniors whom I got acquainted in that lab while I was working. So yeah, it was a very enriching experience for me, at least collaborating with others. And it actually opened my mind. The things I learned there while working with so many of you is certain things which I also apply in my research. So it has benefited me doubly.
Okay. So since geology is actually, we don't know much actually, the technical part. So can you please explain in layman terms uh, what is some turning points of your research that you are doing?
For me, actually, Geological Studies Unit, the lab I'm working at, they actually work in a very older rocks. Those are actually like Precambrian rocks where life did not exist during that point of, or life has actually started during that. And you know, the earliest signatures of life actually come from rocks. Those rocks we call stromatolites, and they are like the algae of first algae, which are the first life, our ancestors actually, single celled organisms, and those actually have signatures in rocks. The entire rock is actually formed of that algae and the carbonate or limestone that we use for the various industries. So geoscience, basically there are multiple phases or multiple domains within geoscience. I work in stratigraphy sedimentology, which actually works with sedimentary rocks. And sedimentary rocks are rocks that actually are the hosts of the oil, petroleum, and even certain cases, important minerals, other minerals like iron, manganese. So initially, for a geologist, you have to read a lot of things, not only sedimentology, the other aspects of geology also, so that you can actually build your complete understanding to predict that where we can, in which direction, because most of the resources are underground, they are not exposed. If they would have been exposed, then obviously any person would go and mine them and will get rich. So any kind of resource, they are actually underground. And a geologist, by seeing the signatures on the ground, they have to actually predict that where those resources are underground with certain clues. So those are what the geologists model actually. In the economic aspect, that is what they are modeling. And when we can pinpoint an area that here we can get a petroleum reserve, or here we can mine and get more coal, then the domain, we actually hand over this to the mining engineers, the civil engineers. They go and then they develop the mine, or then they develop the oil field. Okay, but initial, everything starts from our domain. Any kind of resource starts from our domain. So this is one aspect. There is another aspect of geology which goes with environmental studies. Like suppose a seismologist who is also a geologist or a geophysicist initially, then they further studied seismology. So they are going to predict the earthquakes, or they are going to find out where the earthquake more probable zones. So those are the people who are working for natural disaster preparedness. Suppose the work we did in computer vision lab predicting glacial lake outburst floods. So those are disaster management domain where a geologist is required, because the geologist knows that what are a glacier, where we can find the glaciers, what are the different rocks that are there in the glaciers, what can cause the glaciers to melt fast. So these are the interdisciplinary other applications which a geologist has, and the major application goes in finding the rocks and finding out how they have deposited, where the oil and gas within the rock can actually go and concentrate, or which rocks are good for metal mining. So those are actually the entire purview of geoscience. And last but not the least, which I should talk about, is even extraterrestrial geology also. Like now, NASA has sent rover in Mars. So the rover is collecting different kinds of data, and those datas, those images, they are giving back to the geologist in NASA, and they are trying to find out that what kind of depositional environment could have been in Mars, whether water was there in Mars, whether there are other signatures within the rocks that actually talks that there is, that actually hints that there was water or there is hidden water in Mars. So extraterrestrial geology also falls under the purview of geology.
Okay. So, what is your research domain?
My research domain is we are working on very old rocks to talk about how they are deposited, if there is a resource potential in those rocks. I mean, you can develop those rocks for certain kind of resources, because I actually work in limestones. So limestones are very big resource for cement industries, and the mines I visit, my area is in Raipur, Chhattisgarh. It's full of limestone mines there. So we are trying to find out that whether whatever is mapped, the extent of that limestone, can we actually increase that extent? Is more and more limestone present below the ground which are actually not exposed? So that will bring out new reserves for industries or even the government. So that is one aspect. The other aspect is mostly what happened in that paleo time, predicting what happened in like 2.5 billion years back by looking at the signatures in the present day, so that it's kind of a theoretical study to help the other people. If the study which we are doing, our study can become an analog for other people to draw similar conclusions from our study. They can help for research for theoretical purposes. In rocks I'm working, those are not very suitable for petroleum or oil, but if I can understand the mode of formation of them, maybe some other guy, maybe who is working in a petroleum industry, they can find similar signatures and they can understand that, okay, so someone has worked and they have said that they have, these rocks have formed like this. So the petroleum basin which they are working, they can deduce that their rocks may have formed in a similar fashion. So one part has an economic aspect and one part is purely theoretical for my research.
So, I was curious. So, how is actually a mine visit? I have never been to.
Actually, if it's first of all, the safety is very important. I mean, any visitor who is not, even the workers who are working there, who is going every day there, they also know the safety protocols. What are the things they have to wear before they enter a mine, and what are the different permits they have to take. If many people have to know that certain people have gone in the mine, because the thing is there are specific time intervals in which blasting happens in mine, because they blast the resource. I mean, suppose there is a limestone rock there, they cannot excavate that completely. They have to break them into pieces, and then they can take those pieces and get cement from there by further processing. So blasting is a technique that happens to actually break those big rocks into smaller rocks, and those actually use dynamites and other things for blasting. So during blasting, the mine is very vulnerable. If you blast somewhere, it can you can't predict where the cracks will be. So if someone is standing right beneath a rock, above a rock where it can develop crack and break down, so automatically it's a life risk. So that is the reason there are safety protocols in mines which every visitor has to follow. The operations, any mine engineer will take you, they will guide you. Any visitor goes, generally during our students time, student days also we visited mines. During our field work also we visited mines. Some mine manager will be there who will take you there. They do not show the entire mine, they only show to the visitors, they only show the place they know it's very safe, there won't be a sudden collapse. So the safety protocol thing is a very, very important thing when anyone visits the mine. It's not necessarily geologist, anybody who visits the mine, that has to be maintained. Proper helmets, proper mine shoes. There are big boots they give to enter the, we have to wear them to enter the mine. And you need a, I mean, you need a helmet which has a, there is
Bulb
a
type of
bulb
light.
type thing. So yeah, so that is very important. And in certain mines, they do not allow women visitors. They do not allow women visitors, but many mines are there who allow. So for us, we had to take a lot of permissions before we visited a mine, because the permissions would take half a day. I mean, mine manager will call his supervisor, they will arrange for the permits, and we will go and we will take the boots and everything. You have to check that whether it fits or not. And then when the blasting time is not there, then only they will allow the visitors. If the blasting time is there, they won't allow them to go.
Okay. So in the earlier in the earlier times, so you have already mentioned about patience, which is
Yeah.
important. So any other qualities that one can acquire from PhD that is useful for any career?
Where you're entering, first of all, you have to understand that if you like problem solving, that is the first clue that, okay, I like problem solving, so I can go for a PhD. The second is, within your domain, you have to do some specialization. Means when you are doing your bachelor's or master's, you are reading everything. But PhD, you are not going to work on everything. Whatever among the bachelors or masters, whatever you liked, you have to, I mean, you like more than the other subjects in your or other sub subjects in your main subject. Suppose in geology there are sedimentology, igneous petrology, metamorphic geology. If I like sedimentology much more than the other subjects, then obviously that is one subject I should do my PhD in. So that is how you will choose your domain. And the next thing you have to do is you have to research very well that what is the current status of work that is happening in your domain. So before joining PhD, there is a research that should go where to join your PhD. I mean, you should not, this is my experience, a completely a personal experience which I'm sharing. You should not join PhD anywhere, wherever you're getting. Okay, you have to research very well that I like problem solving, I can devote 10 years of my time to academia, because it will take, PhD is the start of the journey, it's not the end. There is postdoc, there is projects which you have to bring in so that you can actually prove your merit as a researcher, as an independent researcher. So PhD is just the start. So first is you like problem solving. Second, you can devote your 10 years of your time completely to academia. Third, you have to find out which domain among the other you like. And the fourth thing is you have to very well research the domain you are going to do PhD in. What are the recent advancements that are happening in that domain? And whether you're doing it in a foreign university or in India, you have to find out in which lab in India, in which institute, the best research is going on. So if your marks are good, you have to approach there. If the lab is full, if there is no seat for you, you have to come to the second best place where that particular research is going on. If that is also full, you have to come to the third best place where that particular research is going on. Do not go for PhD, just join anywhere, any lab. That's not the right way to do PhD. You have to research very well where the recent thing is happening. Otherwise, if you do some outdated PhD, that's in the coming years, government will decrease funds for irrelevant projects. They will completely focus on very, very important projects. So you have to join the best team in a PhD. That is also something you should research about. So if you do that research, then only you can choose the correct PhD place. And that will benefit you a lot in the coming days. If you don't do this pre-research before you join a PhD, you are going to be completely trapped.
And also, we all know that suppose we are going for publication.
Yeah.
So we send the paper and then it gets rejected.
Yeah.
And the work gets repetitive. So still, how can we go on with this?
Actually, first of all, you have to understand that the research you're doing, the topic, how credible that topic is, how much work has already been done. So every paper has a section of previous work, and that is very important. That actually shows how much of previous knowledge you already have on the subject you are actually presenting in the paper. And that is a very important part. People may not take it importantly, but that is the most important part, because you know that how much work has been done and what you are adding to it, what is the novelty of your work. So if your work is novel, then you should not worry that it will be rejected by one journal, because if your work has novelty, there are many journals. Maybe the journal you are targeting, they are full, and the publications have other things also. Like suppose a particular issue is going to come out of that journal which has a particular theme, and your paper is actually not fitting in that theme. So obviously they will not accept that your paper in that journal. But if your idea is novel, and if particular journal doesn't accept it, some kind of issues they may have, you will always have to go for the next best journal. So in PhD, rejections are part of it. If you think that the first you are going to send your manuscript to a journal and in the first go it will be selected, then yes, maybe you are doing very good work, but that doesn't generally happen. Most of the people get rejection in the first go, generally.
Okay, so also there are some news when you see some students, basically the PhD scholars, are doing suicide at some colleges due to pressure at PhDs in the PhD. So basically, so how we should keep our mental health and social life so that one shouldn't take such extreme steps.
That is the reason I already said that you have to, before joining PhD, you have to look at your score. You have to look at what topic you are interested in, and you have to do an entire research that what is going on in your domain and which lab is actually the best lab for that. Okay. And then whatever is your marks, based on that, you will apply to 10 places. One place, maybe suppose you have decent marks, so one place will take you. But you know that is the chosen place. You have chosen it after a particular research that this place is a good place for the thing I'm going to do research in. So that is the first step. That is the first step which every student should take. That actually minimizes this kind of frustrations to a certain level. Second thing is, you should be very regular in PhD. And I mean, by regular, I mean you should have a proper communication with your supervisor. Very important. You have to at least meet once weekly, at least. It should not be like you are doing some work, your supervisor doesn't know. This actually creates a very big mismatch in the entire dynamic of this PhD. So you have to be very regular. At least you should meet once weekly with your supervisor. So this is the second thing. Third thing is, which I already said, you have to have patience, and you have to go for PhD with the idea that this is just the beginning. I have to devote minimum 10 years of my life in academia, and I have to be very, very much okay with rejection. So patience, accepting rejection, these things should always be there in your mind. Otherwise, if you come with a high hope and with a big ego that I will never be rejected, you are wrong. You are absolutely wrong. And the last thing, but it's not an easy thing, you should always be involved in certain kind of mindfulness practice which keeps you grounded. So it can be yoga, meditation. You can have different kind of meditation techniques are there. You, whatever suits you, you should choose, and you should go for it. For minimum 30 minutes a day, you should give your mental health this mindfulness technique. You should apply. For me personally, I actually took Mantra Diksha from Ramakrishna Mission, and that has helped me tremendously, to be very honest. Before the Mantra Diksha, I joined PhD in 2019. I took Mantra Diksha in 2022. And seriously, pre-Mantra Diksha, my PhD life, and post-Mantra Diksha, my PhD life, it's a hell and heaven difference between that. So that is why I'm saying you don't have to be religious only, and you have to do it from certain institutions only. Any kind of mindfulness mindfulness technique, meditation technique can work for you. And you should always do that. Like, it should be a ritual. Like you eat, you sleep, it should be a ritual. Otherwise, the patience or the amount of perseverance you would need to, to actually face this entire research academic pressure, otherwise you will collapse. So these five, six things are what personally I feel can help you.
So these were very nice instructions. Thank you. And so, and my last question is, if you are not doing PhD right now, so what else you would be doing?
I always, maybe theater, because I actually always loved dramatics in my school, in my college. I had a group. I was involved in drama theater, and what I loved about that is that uh, the entire drama is not only a theater is not only successful only because of your singular effort or singular acting skill. It's a group effort. So if your co-actor is not working or not acting on or fumbling with his or her lines, you cannot deliver a very good performance. So that kind of a group activity, which the experience I had while doing theater, it's very close to my heart. And maybe if I would not be doing PhD, I would be uh, into theaters. I love drama and acting.
So thank you, Ayoti, for sharing your
Welcome.
insights with us. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Keep doing this kind of podcasts. They are very informative for many people. And I thank you again for inviting me to speak on that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.